The late renowned jurist and Lord Chancellor of England, Sir Francis Bacon, once said that knowledge is power. We live in an era where information is key, and a lack of it can be very detrimental. This is NAPTIP on the Move, and I am Emmanuel Okeke. We're glad to have you join us. Our package today will highlight the role of the Public Enlightenment Department towards combating human trafficking. Don't go away.
Described as the act of educating the populace, public enlightenment is the use of all media channels to inform and create awareness for social change. The role of the Public Enlightenment Department of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons cannot be overemphasized, as it is pivotal in the fight against human trafficking. Prevention is one of the cardinal policies of the agency towards eradicating human trafficking, and to effectively carry out this mandate, the Public Enlightenment Department is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that potential victims are informed and, as such, discouraged from the risk of exploitation.
Public enlightenment is one of the cardinal anchors of our prevention architecture. It is so because it is a crime that thrives on falsehood and lies and deception. And so truth has to be taken to them. Information should be brought to them. Enlightenment should be brought to them. And that's what public enlightenment does, by making sure that people are well informed, because that information is critical to the decisions they make. The decision will affect their lives. Either you lose them or they get lost in the mix of all those lies. The desperation is one bad thing. Their desperation is enhanced by the vulnerability, and this predisposes them to accept the lies that they are told. So our responsibility in NAPTIP, and not just the Public Enlightenment Department, is to bring information, bring it to the dinner tables of Nigerians, so that they will know that the streets of Europe are not paved with gold. So before you take that journey, ask necessary questions. Look before you leap, and that is what Public Enlightenment Department tries to do in each passing day.
Effective public enlightenment campaign requires collaborative efforts.
We do a lot of collaboration because there's no way we'll do it alone. You must understand that Nigeria is a federation. There are 3 tiers of government. And in these 3 tiers, there are also institutions, there are NGOs, there are civil society organizations. There are also sister law enforcement agencies that are actually working in tandem in achieving the objective of federal government, which is to make sure that Nigerians are protected from harm's way. Nigerian children are not taken away out of the shores for exploitation. So we do work with them. And just to mention a few, Wordclef is there, Ida Renazon is there, Intercom Africa is there, Walk-On is there, and a host of other institutions that I cannot mention. Then in the governmental structure, we have a Nigerian Immigration Service, the Civil Defense, the Road Safety, the police, all of them. Fortunately, they've been able to have to set up in their own units, anti-trafficking units. And at international level, we are working with IOM, we are working with some of the embassies that are here, we are working with UNODC, we are working with UNICEF, and ICMPD, they've also helped NAPTIP in making sure that our activities are brought to the limelight, because illegal migration is one big thing now that is wasting the best and brightest of Nigeria. It's a clear and present danger, and every hand needs to be on deck.
Identifying the target age demographic is important, and to stem the tide of trafficking of youths and children, the agency is collaborating with the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, NERDC.
The ICMPD helped us to first of all, convoke a stakeholders meeting and then a meeting of experts to begin to develop issues that could be mainstreamed into the curriculum. So, and we've gone a whole lot. We did we did a review meeting, did the subject selection, and that was done in conjunction with National Education Research and Development Council. They are the ones whose responsibility it is to make sure that they're the ones who develop curriculum for primary and post-primary. So that has been done. For primary and secondary school, both in religious and national values, we have for basic science and technology, civic education, and in English. Anti-trafficking issue form part of the comprehension and the essays that they're writing. So these are part of the things that government is doing to make sure that, one, to eliminate this issue of lack of knowledge or lack of awareness. So it is going to be studied now, in schools.
The use of all available media channels and outreach programs is key in the dissemination of information on human trafficking.
There are different platforms that we use. We've been able to segment the youths. NAPTIP as a brand adopted that over time. We engage them. The youths, many of the youths are in the social media. So we go through the social media. There's a Facebook page that deals with that. There's a Twitter for those who are on Twitter. So, and the idea is to push our conversation on daily basis to these other people. We actually have a YouTube. Please follow NAPTIP. The amount of time you spend on Facebook, on Twitter, follow NAPTIP so that we will update you with this information.
Sensitization materials are also necessary tools in the act of public enlightenment.
We also have the wristband. This wristband contains just a miniature anti-trafficking message, but essentially, and which is critical too, the hotline. So anybody wearing it knows what number to call. And these are toll-free lines. Toll-free lines in the sense that you are not charged making those calls. And we answer your question, and we must come. It behoves the agency to come and make sure that any child in an environment of exploitation is rescued. The red card is one of our consumables that we use every time, just to show red card to human trafficking so that anybody, what it means is stop. This is not business anymore. This is a crime. It's wasting our best and our brightest. You need to stop. Every hand must be on deck.
Since the inception of the agency, the Public Enlightenment Department has carried out several campaigns and adopted many strategies.
First of all, what we did was to isolate the states that we call the endemic states. But right now, unfortunately, every state in Nigeria has become endemic because one child is one bad enough. So we're now waiting until it becomes 100 from a particular state to make that state endemic. We've done a jump up against human trafficking, which was in Edo State. We did a race against human trafficking, which is also in Edo State. We did this anthology of poems. Last year, we did an essay competition, getting children to write essays, and they won awards. And we have more. The idea is to get children to begin to come to grips with this crime. We've set up anti-trafficking brigades in the different schools that we did we did that in Edo, we did that in Anambra, actually mostly in the south. Now, with the expansion of NAPTIP by the more zonal offices we created, we just had another one in Osun State. Now, that also spreads our dragnet to cover lots of areas than we've ever done. And the zonal offices are carrying out a lot of sensitization, a lot of town halls, that are in the southeast. That August is the time for August meeting. So the zonal commander in Enugu is on top of his game, and by making sure that each of those meetings per communities, they go there, they speak to women, they interact with them, they engage them in a conversation to make them understand that, one, don't send your child away. This child have potentials. Those potentials cannot be realized only when they go to Europe, or when they go to South Africa, or when they go to wherever. The amount of money you expend trying to move a child out of the shelter could be better be employed, for them to get their hands on one or two skills that they will do that will better their lives, rather than what gives you 50% chance of either the child dying or you losing the child. So this is an ongoing thing. We do not lose sight of any opportunity to speak to Nigerians, to get them understand. Every opportunity is a platform for engagement. Engagement either by talking to them, engagement either by using their icons or by their chiefs and chieftains to speak to them.
The need for all stakeholders to work towards the eradication of human trafficking cannot be overemphasized.
If we accept this story that 1 out of every 4 black persons in Nigeria, and look at the wastage that we're recording every day trying to cross the Mediterranean, you can imagine the number that have died. Human trafficking is a clear and present danger, and every information must be out there that all hands must be on deck. Our children are dying in the process. These are the people who are the future leaders. Aside from that, there's even the human security implication. So there is so much that everybody should be bothered. Not just the federal government. The state government has a responsibility. Local government has a responsibility. Because every child, every Nigerian is from one town in one local government that makes him a citizen of a state that automatically qualifies him to call a Nigerian. So that is the point. That is the point. By the time you locate all this within the confines of what I just explained, you will find out that the first responders in the anti-trafficking architecture is the parents. From there, the local government, the town. So we all have a role to play in combating and stopping human trafficking.
Effective sensitization of the general public is not without its challenges.
Funding has been a major constraint because you must understand that NAPTIP is the only law enforcement agency that not only protect, investigate crime, but also protect and rehabilitate victims of the crime. So the funding requirement is huge. Okay, because in doing this, we are supposed to educate people. So it means that we need to have jingles out there. It costs so much, and we don't have as much fund to do that. So we do have those jingles, and we update them. And you also know that besides human trafficking, NAPTIP is also enforcing the Violence Against Persons Act, which is also another big challenge, despite the fact that the enforcement is limited to FCT. But it's also a deep challenge because we receive a lot of reports, and the first thing we go is to go and remove whoever the individual is in that environment of exploitation or environment that is challenging or that is dangerous, within the family or wherever that is happening. We have this material, which lots of material have been produced, but it can't go. It's not enough to go around. That's why we're asking, let our partners pick up these materials. Please distribute. So long as it's not for sale, do. I need people to help us get out there. I need radio stations to help us play our jingles. What we are doing is selfless. The children are not my children, but there are some poor man or poor woman's child out there needing just that information, that critical information. Don't go. This is not true. This is not real. It's not until every Nigerian child is taken away that we know we have a crisis. We already have a crisis.
The director of Public Enlightenment, Arinze Orakwe, then shared some stories of victims.
I'll tell you a story. There was a particular one that a young girl narrated how she couldn't even drink her own urine trying to cross the desert. A boy snatched her own urine to drink. She couldn't even drink because she didn't have water. So it is that bad. In 2011, when 8,000 Nigerians were hoodwinked and misled by one individual who said he was going to take them in one fell swoop to Canada and Australia. And they paid money. All of them paid 62,500 naira. After that, he told them that the aircraft that actually came to bring them had a burst tire and that they need to pay 2,500 naira more for them to fix the tires that would take 8,000 Nigerians. But when NAPTIP officers assessed them, they chased our officers away. Eventually, they were the ones who now came to report that this is what happened. By then, the young man had bolted with almost 560 million made from hungry Nigerians who are vulnerable. If these things would have been avoided, or they would have saved themselves with their money if they had listened to our officers when they came along. When we did an evacuation in Mali, in 3 brothels, we brought out 104 Nigerian girls. One was 16. She's been in Mali for 3 years. And all that while, she was sleeping with at least 40 men a day. She was brought to Mali when she was 13. So these are the things we will see every day.
He also appealed to the state governments to protect vulnerable indigents.
We're also asking the state governors, using the Ministry of Women Affairs, using the Ministry of Youth, please also carry this, because these are your children. These are your youths. If you waste them, it's going to put Nigeria in dire straits in no time. So it's a no-win situation unless everybody puts a hand on deck. Everybody must come to grips with that. This thing it will waste us. It will waste our children. It will waste our best and our brightest if we do not stop it right now.
With all these efforts and the drive to do more, it is clear that the Public Enlightenment Department of the agency is not resting on its oars. It has indeed intensified efforts to ensure that information of the dangers of human trafficking is commonplace in Nigeria.
Human trafficking is one of the worst crimes on earth. It is a grave violation of your human rights. The victims of human trafficking are majorly women, youths, children, and men who may never live to tell the story. These victims could be your wife, daughter, mother, sister, brother, child, or relative. No one deserves to be trafficked. NAPTIP has intensified its effort against this crime. But we need your support. We need you to join this fight. Government officials, corporate organizations, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and the organized private sector have enlisted in this fight. What are you waiting for? Join NAPTIP to end this global moral epidemic. Stop human trafficking now.
Report cases of human trafficking to these NAPTIP hotlines: 0703 00 203, 080 02 255 627847. NAPTIP, empowered to protect you.
Information is key. Help NAPTIP serve you better by sending your comments and suggestions to the numbers on the screen. Up next is NAPTIP Events. Stay with us. The Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Dame Julie Okadondi, and her team paid a courtesy visit to the Acting Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu. Dame Julie Okadondi stated the purpose of her visit and further sought the cooperation of the Commission.
The relationship between human trafficking and EFCC, you cannot take that away. It's related, because while there are aspects of the crime itself, there are also aspects of the financial crime. So they are tied together, and so we need to work very closely. Human trafficking is a crime. It's the third most lucrative international crime. So we have difficulties in investigating finances and assets of arrested and convicted human traffickers, because the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015 empowers NAPTIP to trace, attach, seize and confiscate assets of traffickers. But lots of impediments have hampered this area of operations, so we need the assistance of the Commission. I've told my officers that as soon as they start investigations, they should ensure that they liaise with EFCC so that these other aspects can go on simultaneously with the prosecution in courts and be able to make a headway.
Welcoming the Director General of NAPTIP and her team, the Acting Chairman of EFCC pledged the Commission's support in the fight against human trafficking.
So we are very prepared to support what you are doing in any way that we can render support. If there is element of financial crimes investigation, we will support you, we will fully be involved in the investigation and render any assistance that can help, that will help to solve the outstanding problem.
The custody visit was very successful as both agencies reached an agreement to partner on various areas of mutual operation. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons recently secured 2 convictions. One Onwe Nwakego from Abapanike in Enugu was sentenced by a federal high court sitting in Enugu State to 6 months imprisonment without an option of fine. Onwe Nwakego was arraigned by the agency for engaging a 7-year-old child as a domestic worker, an act contrary to Section 23, subsection 1, sub A of the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015. In a related development, a federal high court sitting in Calabar, Cross River State, has sentenced one Ifeanyi Kelvin Okorogu from Imo State to 3 years imprisonment. Ifeanyi Kelvin Okorogu was arraigned by the agency for harboring a 16-year-old girl and exploiting her position of vulnerability. He further attempted to sell the victim's baby at the sum of 150,000 naira before he was arrested at the Margaret Ebo Airport in Calabar. He was charged under Sections 13 and 29 of the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015. The sentence is without an option of fine. Reacting to both convictions, the Director General of NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonli, commended the Honourable Justices for their courage in handling the cases. She, however, called on traffickers to desist and warned the general public against employing children below the age of 12 as domestic workers. In recognition of her giant strides, innovation, dynamic leadership, and efforts towards eradication of human trafficking, the Director General of NAPTIP, Dame Julie Okadonli, was recently honored with an award for selfless service. This was presented at the 3rd Mike Omotosho annual lecture focused on millennials as protagonists in nation building. The former governor of Cross River State, His Excellency Donald Duke, was a keynote speaker. Highlights of the event was a formal presentation of awards to distinguished personalities, including Dame Julie Okadonli.
The Mike Omotosho Foundation would like to present this award of appreciation to Barrister Julie Okadonli for outstanding performance in selfless service to children and vulnerables.
Every day we have thousands of youths, women, children dying on the way to so-called better life for greener pastures. And a lot of traffickers and smugglers have taken advantage of the ignorance of these ones through fraud, deceit, and pure ignorance on their part, lack of knowledge, sometimes lack of education, as the case may be. Some of us also take advantage and aid and abet human trafficking by having people work with us, domestic staff, who you do not pay salaries to, but you pay their salaries to a so-called agent. If any of you is engaged in that, which is very common, so aiding and abetting human trafficking, and we have to stop that practice. This is not a federal government project alone. This is a project for the private, organized private sector, corporate organizations, for each and every one of us. Please join the fight in stopping human trafficking. I want to dedicate this award to the victims and the survivors of human trafficking, and to the men and women, the officers and men of NAPTIP who work tirelessly day and night to ensure that these victims are protected and that the perpetrators are brought to book.
The occasion was well attended by many dignitaries as well as the directors of NAPTIP.
For more enquiries and support, or to report cases of suspected human trafficking and child abuse, please call NAPTIP hotlines on 0703 0000 203 or 0800 2255 627847 or email info@naptip.gov.ng. Visit our website www.naptip.gov.ng. Follow us on our social media platforms at NAPTIP Nigeria and watch our videos on YouTube.
I hope you were enlightened. They say experience is the best teacher, but I assure you it does not apply to human trafficking. So save yourself the trauma. A word is indeed enough for the wise. Until I come your way next week, please report suspected cases of human trafficking. I am Emmanuel Okeke, and I must thank you for watching.